I'm just going to start this off by saying I'm going with the presumption that electricity may not be as readily available to you as you would like. So I'm going to do my best to try and put timestamps in the description of the video, just so you can jump straight to whatever you need. You don't need to waste phone battery. Just to quickly start it off, I'll just give you an update on myself. Why the hell am I still in the tent? Well, on Sunday, Halloween day, we were expecting to pack up the tent and take it back. It just torrentially downpoured. Is that a word, torrentially downpoured? It just downpoured all day. So the time frame that the person who was going to assist me in taking this down, because it is a two-man job, it was just pissing it down with rain the entire time, so we couldn't do it. Which means it's probably going to be at some point this week when it goes down instead. But I'm fine with that. That just means I get to spend a few more days in it. I do consider the 31st as having been the end of me living here. Like, have you fucking carved it into a tree? This is just the the pre-post-credit sequence. So yeah, I've chosen to stay in here just for a few more days because, as I say, this has been more comfortable for me than the idea of being surrounded by people again. So, just going to start it off with any legal advice that I would give. The first one is, obviously, you need to contact your local housing association immediately and pursue private rent as well if you can, provided that you actually have the money. The council themselves should be able to sort you out with emergency accommodation, usually at a hotel or something like that, but they usually are able to, or I believe they legally have to provide you some emergency accommodation for a certain amount of time, once they acknowledge that you are homeless and that they have a duty to effectively rehouse you. As an aside, I would always say contact your local citizens' advice, and also there is a charity called Shelter, who I will put a link to in this description as well. They are phenomenal, they are amazing. Same with Citizens Advice, they're free, they're good, and they have lawyers as well, both Citizens Advice and Shelter, whereas Citizens Advice could receive legal aid on your behalf, because I'm going to presume you would need to use legal aid if you had the money for a lawyer. Chances are you'd probably be able to go and rent yourself somewhere. And don't ever underestimate what actually speaking to either of these organisations can do, because even if you have agreed to leave somewhere, or you are being forcibly evicted, if you are going to become homeless, it may not actually be lawful for them to evict you, and you may not have to leave on that day. It isn't squatting, but basically they would then have to go to the police about that, and not that you could get arrested for doing anything like that, but they would then have to have it recognised by a court that you have to be removed from that property, but you would also be made homeless. So I highly encourage you to contact Citizens Advice and to contact Shelter. Shelter can also sort you out with emergency accommodation themselves. They can do what the council's job should be of sorting you out emergency accommodation, and I found them to be far more competent than my local council were, and my housing officer. So don't neglect doing that, honestly, because if there's a chance that you just cannot be homeless at all, that's great. So whether that has to be through a lawyer or whether that's them getting you emergency accommodation, that's obviously the initial route you need to take. I would say contact your MP's office as well, simply for the fact that if you have a really lazy housing officer like I did, and they process your application at like the 11th hour of you losing your emergency accommodation, the sooner you contact your MP's office, they can contact your housing officer, your council on your behalf. And trust me, a letter from the MP's office, if you as a homeless person are just in a pile of other people that need to be rehoused, even if they have homes currently, they're just looking for council houses, a letter from your MP landing on the desk of your housing officer, your homeless officer, will definitely ignite a fire underneath their ass to actually get a move on and deal with you sooner rather than later. Likewise, a church, they tend to have connections with a lot of charities that could at least help you out in just any way that you could need assistance if you were homeless, and sometimes they themselves do actually run homeless shelters. So never neglect the help that a church can give you, and they have connections. Somebody will have connections there, and likewise, someone will always be there to help you if they can, even if it's just giving you coffee and a fucking sandwich. It never hurts to pursue local homeless shelters or asking around at any soup kitchens that you may have in your borough. Even if they can only house you for a night, that's, as long as you can do it, like you can do it, that's at least one night when you're not on the streets. And obviously if you're in the UK, it's getting really, really cold now, and you don't want to be sleeping in the streets. Not safe to begin with, obviously. My final one would be for the legal side of things as well. Search benefits. Again, presuming that you are already in receipt of benefits, you may be entitled to a little bit more money for the fact that you are now officially living alone. Even if you originally had a job and now you don't, or you do have a job, again, it's still worth contacting the DWP or your local job centre just to try and find out if there is any way that you can receive more money, because you will need it in this situation. You will absolutely need money in this situation. And likewise, if you are on benefits, you can always apply for advance payments to help you prepare for if you're in emergency accommodation and you are going to become homeless, living in a tent or living on the streets, and you need to get some of the things that I'll go into. An advance payment could really assist you in, while you have the time to prepare, getting it done thoroughly. And the benefits people will always say that you need an address in order to be eligible to receive benefits. You need to officially have a home or a care of address, and if you don't have somewhere that you can use a care of address, the job centre itself can be used, and don't ever let them tell you otherwise. I've read things about people being completely bullshitted by people at the job centre saying that they can't use the job centre itself as a care of address. You absolutely can. Don't ever let them tell you that you can't. Chances are they don't actually know that themselves, they're employees, but you can use the job centre as a care of address. Don't be afraid to take advantage of that. So now for the physical side of things, as I said a moment ago, preparation is key. You won't have the luxury of being able to do a lot of preparation by the time that you are homeless, as in living in a tent. If you're in emergency accommodation for, I believe that the standard thing is 2 months that you're supposed to be given to be rehoused by your housing officer, use those 2 months to your advantage, just in case you end up in the worst situation and you are living outdoors or in a tent or on the streets. As far as things that you would need, tools, toolkit, never go amiss. Pen and paper, just to note things down, especially if your phone dies. Books to keep you entertained. I'm currently reading early Greek philosophy. Why? I don't know. I'm sure they figure it out. Little philosophy joke for you there. So books, medical kits especially. I know Asda was a really good place for this. I got myself, it comes with, it was actually a camping kit technically. I kind of sorted my own medical kit out. But have a look, like you'll want a poncho just for in case it rains, and you need to cover yourself. I got a camping kit which it was £5 from Asda, reduced from £7.50. It came with like an emergency blanket, an emergency light, a wire saw so that you can collect twigs and start a small fire, a whistle, a compass, a little bit of paracord itself. Really good for £5, to be honest with you. But sorting yourself out a medical kit is an absolute necessity. Toolkit, as I said, screwdrivers, hammers, just anything, because you may need to end up building things for yourselves. You'll of course need the sleeping bag and the mats. Don't skimp out on those. Get good quality ones, because you need good quality sleep. That's going to be one of the most important things to you on a daily basis. Blankets, of course, and some form of light or candles. If you have a small enough tent, one candle, one tea light candle, lit up, preferably in a pan so it doesn't burn the fucking thing down, should pretty much illuminate the entirety of the space without making you overtly noticeable from the outside to other people that could be walking past. And depending on what the colour is on the inside, obviously this one is a bit too big and too black for that's going to get cut out of this video and used in some filthy porno, isn't it? For tea lights to be workable in here, because the black just absorbs it in my old tent because of the colour of it. It did reflect the light very well. You only needed one light, and that could last 1 or 2 days. For a lot of these things, I absolutely promise you, charity shops are a fucking gold mine. You may have to compromise on the quality of some of the things, and if you are getting a tent from there, just from personal experience, make sure you check their fucking poles with the tent first. Otherwise you'll have to use all your fucking paracord setting your tent up. you need to be smart with your electricity and be smart with your money. Good advice for anybody on any day. But your electricity, such as it's your phone, again, that is going to be your lifeline to the outside world in some cases. And your money is going to be everything. It's terrible that is the way the world works, but it is. As far as electricity goes, obviously the best places to charge it would be if you have friends or family whose home that you can go to and plug your phone in when you need. You can, of course, also go to libraries if you sign up for them. You'll just be allowed to read a book or use the computer and stick your phone in as well. I found pubs are a great one. Go and get they used to be at the pub near me for like £5. You got like a tuna wrap with some chips and a pint. It was only a carling, but whatever. Can't complain for the price. And you could just sit there for like an hour, 2 hours, charge your phone. You got cafes if you have the money for those fucking exorbitant coffees. Churches, when they're open, I'm sure will be more than happy to let you charge your phone. Shopping centres, there's always a plug and somewhere to sit, even if it's just on the floor, and you just charge your shit from there. And obviously be smart with your phone as well, like power saving modes when you need it. Don't go wasting it looking at YouTube videos just all fucking day if you don't necessarily know that you'll have the ability to go and charge it again. Be smart about it. Money. Obviously apply for the benefits, even if you are or were a working person. There may be some assistance that can just help you out a little bit more, give you a little bit more of the thing that you really need to sustain yourself while you are homeless. Of course there is begging. I know most people won't want to do that because it's I suppose it's very humbling in a sense, but if you need to do that, you can do that. Busk, if you have the ability to busk or you have some talent, you can do it to earn yourself some money. By all means do it. And you can just straight up go and ask for what you need. Like I know there was one guy who I'd seen in town when he was homeless, and he'd just been going around, well, if he couldn't get money off of people, he'd been going around asking, and I think like he asked at Nando's and they just gave him a bunch of chicken that had previously been cooked, but like they didn't end up serving it in time or whatever, so it was just excess stock, and it needed to be eaten, so they gave it to the homeless guy. You can, of course, dumpster dive. It's a horrible thing to think of doing, especially eating out of the rubbish, but again, some places will throw out like completely new sealed food that maybe like just have gone out of date that day. Again, I'm talking from a very different position. I never had to beg, nor did I have to dumpster dive. I didn't busk either. Nor did I have to like go to shops and ask. But again, if that is what you need to do, you can do that. You can do that. And again, obviously, money-wise, it never hurts to look for work if you're able to work, even if it's just picking up like an odd job or something, bit of extra money in your pocket. Food banks, but ensure that the food bank that you go to is one that actually serves the homeless, because there are some food banks which don't actually. You have to have a home, you have to have a residential address for them to actually give you food. I assume that's so they can keep track and make sure that like somebody isn't just coming in day after day and stealing all the food. They should be like, spread out to everybody else. So make sure you find one that will serve you if you're homeless. You can call your Citizens Advice and ask them, and they will give you the ones that will serve the homeless, or they can give you food vouchers or what have you. Be prepared to get fat either way. It's simply you don't have the luxury of being able to like eat properly healthy food. It's all gonna be like processed junk and things that are gonna last for a while. Do ensure that you still eat like good healthy like green food. My typical thing would be, if I couldn't get it from somewhere, I'd go to the shop, and you can get like a meal deal, £3.50 a bottle, packet of crisps, and maybe like a salad or a sandwich or something, and you can eat that on the day. So you can still eat healthy, but it is going to cost you more than what the junk food would. But if you are able to sustain yourself that way, by all means, absolutely do it. It is important to stay healthy. Likewise, you can get yourself sterilized milk, and you can get boxes of like cereal where it's made just so you can actually eat it out of the box. Like it comes with individual things. Like I get the £2 one of Nestle stuff from the local co-op, so that's 6 days worth of breakfast cereal, unless I decide to have 2 each day, which I usually do. There is a hobo stove that you can make. Mine's in a bit of a state right now because it's got like wax and ash in it and everything, because I have an actual like gas stove that I can use here now. But to prepare one food for yourself, just go to like the pound shop, get 2 cans, the same one preferably, I guess, just so you know that they are going to be like the exact same dimensions. cut about 1.5 inches from the top. From the bottom, I'm sorry, you take both of the bottoms, you press them together, and then you need to make holes, like as if this was like an actual stove. You put acetone nail remover, you know, I was about to say nail polish, acetone nail polish remover into it, and then you set it alight carefully, obviously, and then you put a penny in the center from where you've lit it, so that the flames actually come out the side, and then it'll last for, well, I mean, technically it'll last for however much acetone nail polish you've put in. But again, be careful, and perhaps look up another video just to make sure like you are being careful with that, because I don't want to be fucking liable for you blowing your own face off. You could theoretically store yourself some like green healthy food and what have you when it's getting closer to winter, literally just keeping it around you in the tent, because it's chances are it's going to be cold enough that it would actually last, it would stay for a while, it would keep for a while. On top of that, health and exercise, you really do need to maintain your physical health. You really do need to maintain your physical health, because this is going to test it to a certain degree. I would say supplements and multivitamins. If you don't have to do the supplements, like I just did it because I used to take supplements before I was homeless, just to kind of help my body out. I wasn't bodybuilding, but I was just kind of body crafting just to make sure that my own health was good. Multivitamins are an absolute definite though. Exercise, I got myself a skipping rope and a dumbbell, because I couldn't do my usual exercises on here. The skipping rope I never actually used because I used the dumbbell. But yeah, and the amount of shit you're going to be carrying as well, you are going to want to be in good physical shape, and just for the sake of living in nature, it is important. As far as hygiene goes, provided that you are bathing outside, water and baby wipes. I usually just pour some water into my hand, go over certain parts of my body, and then I'll go back over them with a baby wipe. Still make sure that you take care of your hygiene, like a lot, like it'll do a lot for you mentally. Obviously brush your teeth, and you can be creative with how you obtain some things, like you can go into hotels and like ask for free soap. They may not give it to you, but you know, it could be worth asking. If you can find like a public bathroom that you get to be like alone and you can lock the entire thing, you can go in there, give yourself a quick bath in the sink. I got some bacteria killing spray that removes stains and freshens your clothing. So because I didn't have access to wash my clothes, I would have to spray them down, just kind of go over them with their own material. But of course, if you have a local one and you have the money, you can definitely use a laundrette, or your friends and family's houses if they're willing to let you. Keep up appearances. You don't want to look like you're homeless. As I say, it will do a lot for your mental health, just to know that you still look good, you still feel good about your appearance. And it will also do a lot to other people's perceptions of you, which is unfortunate that you have to take that into account whilst you're living in probably the worst situation you'll be in your entire life. But you are still going to be relying on other people more often than not, and you do need to be presentable. Now, if you are having to camp out, presumably you're at this point, no emergency accommodation, no nothing. Pick your spot. Pick a good spot. Pick somewhere you're going to be comfortable with, preferably somewhere that you actually know as well. And wherever it's going to be beforehand, consider the weather and the terrain. Like how difficult is it going to be getting to this place when it's dark, when it's soaking wet, when it's rainy, when it's icy. As I did with the first place I was thinking of camping out, when I considered where it was, if we had the torrential downpours that we've had, the River Mersey literally would have picked up my tent and just washed it away with me with it. So you really have to consider that. And the place that you do decide to camp up, don't pollute it, don't destroy it. Because chances are it may be somebody else's private land, even if it's public land. You don't want to become that nuisance where if somebody sees you, they just think, oh, it's the fucking homeless person living there and they're trashing the place. And again, this is going to be your home. Like, treat it as such. And it should like pollute nature anyway, obviously. Learn your limits and adapt. So such as what do you actually need? Like for most, it's going to be access to shops and electricity and what have you. Like, but for example, I knew for myself I would need to be a place where I was alone the majority of the time, which is the original place I considered was going to be like a half an hour walk away from the nearest road. And I realised like I do need the access to the shops, and I will need more access to electricity than most people would, because I'd be making videos, and I'd need a good signal so I could upload them. So I not compromised essentially, but I had to rethink my location, and because I know what I needed. Like, I wasn't going to be going out like creating a bow and arrow from twigs and fucking hunting rats or something. I would need like comfortable local amenities. So learn what your limits are and adapt to them. I've just reiterated, yeah, so like the mental space for me, I still had to pick a place where I was going to be alone, and it really did factor into the place that I chose for myself. I would also recommend that when you first decide where you're going to go, if you do have a phone, which I'm going to assume you must do if you're watching this, you've got something, set a private location pin in your maps, because you will get lost, and it can be a really frightening thing. Like, I think it was the first night I was here, my friend left and I went to walk her like part way to where the actual road was, and then I came back and it turned out we'd both actually gone the complete wrong way to begin with, and it was dark. I didn't know how to get to where my tent was. I didn't know where my tent was. Like, my heart started really going, like really freaking me out. Luckily I managed to calm myself down. I convinced myself, just like God's not gonna let you, just fucking have lost this tent, don't worry. Convinced myself, I calmed down and I found it like a second later, but set a location pin just so it can give you a rough idea of where you need to go while you still get used to walking there. Like, I mean, I could walk here in complete darkness, which is what I do now. Lock everything up, again, in that preparation section. If you're getting tools and what have you, get some padlocks and some of the smaller flight case, like for luggage, if you're going on a plane, get those locks. Because yeah, it's the last thing that you want is for the entirety of your things to be like stolen or taken by somebody. Like, I have my tool bag has a padlock on it. There was then another lock that was on the inside of the inside zipper. My clothes bag had a lock on it. My tent has a lock on it. Like, everything, again, just locks within locks within locks within bags. Like, you want to make it difficult for somebody should they invade your personal space, your home. You want to make it difficult for them to be able to steal anything from you, or not make it worth the hassle, because they don't want to have to be lugging around some massive bag that they can't open, that chances are is just going to have fucking hobo clothes in it. And plus, it will just give you a peace of mind. Never overlook locking your shit up, even if it's already locked within your tent. Lock the bags that your shit's in to begin with, and never leave your tent unlocked. Yeah, except my last one got ripped into. Sorry, a friend called. I always forget to put on the do not disturb thing. And as far as the bags go, I would say always have one with you at all times that you put your the stuff that you could not, or you would not want to have taken off you in the worst circumstances, like things that mean a lot to you. But then also, I have my tool bag that has all the tools I need, my candles and everything, but I then also have a medication bag in my rucksack that I carry around at all times, and that has a poncho for if I'm walking back and it starts pissing it down, I can cover myself. It's got medication, that's got the emergency survival thing that comes with the fire blanket and the torch. Oh shit, what's the other one that I've got in there? Basically just, yes, so I have like a version of my hobo survival kit. I have another smaller version of it with me at all times, so in case I can't make it back here for some reason, or there are problems or why I don't have it here, I still have a small version of it on me, so I'm never not without some form of assistance that you will need. And yeah, so keep one bag with you at all times. Don't overload it with stuff. Take the stuff that is just that you will need on a daily basis, your phone charger, everything like that. But then the stuff that you would not want to risk losing just through unfortunate circumstances. And as terrible as it sounds, a weapon, something to protect yourself with. I say keep that with you at all times. Like, I always have that in my bag, and then when I'm coming back to the tent, if it's dark, I'll move it and then put it on somewhere on my body, so should I come back and somebody was trying to slash my tent open, or somebody was fucking around with my shit. I have a means immediately at hand to protect myself, and likewise, I know it's a grim subject, but so it's likewise I sleep with it right next to me, just in case somebody starts fucking with me like while I'm asleep. For the first few nights when I was homeless, I literally had it stuffed up my sleeve, like holding onto it with one hand, while I was not in bed because I didn't have a bed, but while I was in sack, while I was in bag. Yeah, it is a grim subject, but it's better to have than it will give you a certain peace of mind. Right, now onto the mental aspect of things. My first point is more one for the other people in regards to you being homeless, which is don't burden other people with your situation. Sounds terrible, you're in a bad situation, but don't, if somebody's like allowing you to come charge like your phone at their house, or they're letting you use their electricity, or they're feeding you, what have you, don't be the person who no matter what is just moping out around them, or just making them really depressed or really uncomfortable, because you're just going to end up outstaying your welcome. And obviously, rightfully so, you have things to complain about, like you're living in such an uncomfortable situation, but other people are still going to be other people, and if you start affecting their lives negatively, they're not going to want you around. So, and again, always, your P's and Q's, thank them, show them your appreciation for like what they're doing for you. But yeah, just don't burden other people with your situation. Try and be stoic about it. Try and really keep your spirits up. And the immediate point I put after this is try and enjoy it. Surprisingly, like you're your own best friend or your own worst enemy here. In this situation, like I put a little Bible quote next to that, which is referring to dancing in the desert, like this dry, humid, uncomfortable place, but you have to dance in it, you have to make your joy in it. So it's like this for me, as I say, like sometimes I'll just stand in the middle of nature and just look at it in silence for just like half an hour, just quiet my mind. Like you can make this nice, you can make it a nice situation, assuming that you're going to be out in nature. Obviously if you're in the streets, it is a somewhat different situation, but if that's what you choose, so use the opportunity that you have as well to kind of get back to the basics of your life, like find out who you really are, what really matters to you. Like have a lot of thinking time, because you will have a lot of time to think. And I know for some people that's like a scary thing, because they don't like where their mind goes, or they don't want to realize that their mind's relatively empty. I would say it can be a really, really good opportunity just to lay back and just think about things. Like it's amazing what your own mind, what you'll learn about yourself. And I would say as well, use this opportunity to get back to basics. I put in parentheses, quit drugs. Like when I was at the hotel, the fact that people were still like using drugs and using spice, like I get it, I absolutely get it. They wanted to release and what have you, or they had their addictions. But it's really treat yourself like you need to be treated. Like you're fucking homeless. You don't need to be doing drugs. You don't need to be wasting your life away while living in a fucking tent. You're just going to make the situation like sadder and worse for yourself. Like, just for example, as I say, I'm drinking most days. Like I never used to do that. But when I became homeless, like that's just how I started not even coping with things, because I wasn't, as you can see, like I'm perfectly sober now. I'm perfectly sober every morning, everything. But it just, like when I go back to the hotel at the end of the day, I just want a drink, just because I hated being surrounded by people. And so that just went on and on, but I never let it become the focal point of what I was doing. And further to the point of that is, don't let a day go to waste. Always be pursuing something, whether that's pursuing your housing situation, whether that's pursuing some work. Obviously in my case it's pursuing Cheshire Constabulary. And even if you can't, even if there is nothing to do that day, just work on your mental health. As I say, just work on trying to enjoy the situation that you're in, and just like having fun and getting to know yourself a lot more. Like I want to say it's not as bad as you think it is. As I say, like during the summer, some days I just stand out in the wilderness naked, like after I'd bathed, and just fucking enjoy a situation that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. Yes, don't let a day go to waste. Again, do keep your mind focused on something as well, even if it's focused on relaxing. Like really think to yourself, like, what do you want to do here that you're never usually able to? So find out who and what you really are and what you really need. Such as, are you somebody who, to get through the situation, would need like social media and Facebook to stay in contact with the world? Like, do you really need other people to allow yourself to get through the day? Or are you somebody like me? Can you take complete and absolute comfort in being alone like this? Can you find it? I know for you, for me, I already knew that, but I know for you it might be that you have to find yourself falling in love with this, falling in love with yourself, I guess, being isolated, like being independent. Yeah, as far as while you are homeless, whether you're in emergency accommodation with other homeless people, or whether you're just like out and about with regular humans, you need to decide what to do with them, and you need to judge well, because again, you are looking after yourself. As I said, somebody that I had to help in town like 3 times, he actually had a home, but he didn't, he looked like a bit of a drug addict, but every time I saw him, he was completely clean, and it's whatever. I mean, but the point to that was that he, while he did have a home and he was claiming, it was a bit of a shit tip and a bit of a small place, it was the fact that he'd been trying to help out other people, that he'd lent them money, like the last of his money, thinking to get it back, and he just never got it back. So now he's having to like go around town asking people for money or asking people for food. And yeah, so as I say, like, you really need to be careful about, because again, you're the homeless one, you're the one who needs to eat, you're the one who needs to stay warm, you need to have food, you need to have all of these things. So don't try and be overly nice. Be nice, obviously, but don't put yourself in a potentially bad situation, just for the sake of maybe helping somebody else out of a minor inconvenient situation. Because there is a chance that basically, if it's not anything that you could sacrifice and happily let go and never return while you're in this situation, I would say don't do it. Like, even before I was homeless, my thing with lending people money was just because I never wanted to be in that position where you don't get money back and you have to go chasing somebody up for it, and it could potentially get a bit mean, if you will. I would always just think, if I was going to lend somebody money, I would rather, in my own head, just write it off as I'm just giving them that money. Like, I'm more than happy to just let it go, because that way it won't cause anything bad. And yeah, on the mental point of that as well, is you need to drop toxic people. You're not going to have, as I said before, the luxury of certain things, and you aren't going to have the luxury. I found in my case, I know my case was a bit unique in regards to us having to deal with the fucking police corruption, chasing them up. But you won't have the mental energy for people that are going to be doubting you, or not being supportive of you, or just want to see you fail, or aren't concerned with your situation, or whatever it is. You need to drop those people, because honestly, that's going to become such a heavy weight, such a burden, such a drain on your internal resources. It's not going to make the situation that you're in any better for you, and you really do need to make this a livable situation for yourself for however long it lasts. Hopefully not that long, but and the final one, I've just put faith in God and faith in yourself. And I understand, obviously, not everybody that's watching this would necessarily believe in anything in this world, but seek and you shall find. when I wanted some evidence that the Bible was real, like scientifically real, something that I could actually understand and document and process, I did say to God, effectively, I'm not being a dickhead, but for me to believe in this, like, me being me, I need to have some substance to it. I need to know for a fact, not just be told, oh, it's real and there you go. Like, I need evidence. And lo and behold, pretty damn soon after it, I started being presented with evidence I had never even seen before. I don't think even most people have ever seen before, and it's part of the hidden history of the world, and it's hidden for a very specific reason, to be honest with you. But I promise you, just speak to God honestly about the things you'll need. Because as I say, as I finally got given all of that science, like, I'll be like talking to God, like praying to God every day, as I always am anyway. But when I was homeless, like, I just noticed over the summer, like, God, Jesus, Christians, faith, religion, love was just in town, everywhere, all the time. Like, it encased me, it cocooned me for my entire experience when I was in town, just vicariously through other people. And now, obviously, here it's very much one-on-one with me and God and nature. So seek and you shall find, you will get it. And likewise, my money situation always worked out. I was always toward the end of like my payment before I was going to get paid again. I would be like scrimping for cash when I was homeless, and somehow it didn't matter even if I had like £5 to last me like a week. Somehow, the money situation just always sorted itself out. God didn't leave me in a position where I was going to have to, and I hate to say this, but I was going to have to degrade myself by like dumpster diving or like begging or. And again, it's if you do that, please, that's quite honourable actually. If you have to do that, to be able to put your pride aside and do that, quite honourable, quite admirable. God knew that simply just wasn't going to be me though, unfortunately. And he always ensured that my money situation, no matter what, worked itself out, just in time. So have faith in God, but have faith in yourself. Like, whoever you are, whatever your situation is, whatever reason it is that you're homeless, and for however long it's going to be, you can do this. I promise you, you can do this. It's just going to be more of an adjustment. Like, you are going to be sidewinded by some of these things, but it's going to be as good or as bad as you can make it mentally in your head. But I absolutely promise, you can do this. You absolutely can do this. And this is, I hope anything in here will have helped you. For those of you who actually know my channel at all, you know how doggedly I pursue anything legalese or anything. And I watched, while I had the time to prepare, alongside doing everything that I've mentioned, I also watched so many like survival tips from homeless things, and I've tried to combine as many of them as I can into doing this for you now. And I sincerely hope this is able to help somebody, whatever your situation is. God bless. I hope it works out for you. Keep in good health. Keep of a good mind and a good spirit and a good soul. I was going to say I love you, but I was going to say there is love out there for you. You are so worthy of it as well. Don't let this be how your story ends, and don't let this be something that defines you in a negative way. This is character building. And you are going to dance in that desert, and you will come out of this, and you will be a better person for it. God bless and take care.